Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Exemplar case webinar on guided pathways. We have in the room with us the CPI team, Edward Smith-Lewis, Dr. Samad West Keys, Dr. Latoya Owens, Isidra McGlone, and myself, Daryl Ann Watkins. A little later, we will turn the webinar over to Fayetteville State University, but first, I would like Isidra to quickly discuss any housekeeping rules we may have. Isidra?
Thank you, Daryl. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our Exemplar case webinar on guided pathways. Fayetteville State University is doing some clever work in the area of guided pathways, and we asked them to share with you some of their strategies and tools towards that end. Let me introduce you to Dr. Gregory McElveen, who is the Project Director of FSU's Career Pathways Initiative and Assistant to the Dean for Strategic Initiatives. Dr. McElveen will introduce the other presenters on his team. But before that, I would like to just give you guys a few housekeeping reminders and updates on how to use the GoToWebinar. There will be questions. If you guys have questions for any of the team, please feel free to type it in the question box, and we will either answer them at the end of the webinar, or we will have them answered at a later date within the week from the Fayetteville State team. Back to Daryl Ann.
Thank you, Isidra. I appreciate all of your work. Once again, please feel free to type in your questions at the end of the webinar in the chat box. Also, please make sure that your phones are on mute. We are looking forward to Fayetteville State University's webinar and them sharing with us the strategies that they have been working strenuously on. At this time, I would like to turn this over to Dr. Gregory McElveen, who is the Project Director for FSU's Career Pathways Initiative and Assistant to the Dean for Strategic Initiatives. Dr. McElveen will then introduce the other presenters on this team. So without any further ado, Dr. McElveen, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Daryl Ann, and thank you, Isidra and Ed and CPI team. We are honored to be part of this illustrious CPI group of universities, and we appreciate the opportunity to share ideas and learn from each other. So at Fayetteville State, we've been fortunate that our chancellor and our leadership team, the chancellor is Dr. James Anderson, really recognized early on, as many of our peer chancellors have, that to remain competitive and vibrant, our institution really has to continue to improve our ability to empower our students for success. People are looking for results, both academically and after graduation. So as a result, we've been fairly aggressive about driving initiatives to achieve that improvement. And over the past 2 or 3 years, have been fortunate to have received financial support from multiple sources, really, to enable us to pursue some of the initiatives that we're going to discuss. So we've got a little head start by a year or so, and we're really grateful, in particular, for the support and guidance we have received from the UNCF Career Pathways team. So one of our initiatives in the university has been in the arena of guided pathways. So although we are still early in the implementation, we're going to share with you some of the challenges that we've faced and some of the strategies we've decided to pursue to address those challenges. So assembled today to present our initiatives are a few of our wonderful leadership team who are actually the ones responsible for making our ideas happen. So presenting today will be Dr. Gerald Mitchell, who is an Associate Dean at our University College, Mr. Curtis Street, our Director of Employer Relations, Ms. Sarah Baker, our University Registrar, Dr. Juanette Council, Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, and Mr. Clifford Parker, who is a recent graduate and is coordinating our co-curricular student engagement activities. So we have a lot to cover. We'll try to be concise, and we do invite questions at the end. Also, we are all open to receiving follow-up questions or suggestions via the email addresses that you see provided. So I'm going to begin first by providing a brief introduction of Fayetteville State so you can have some context for what we'll be discussing. So first, we are a mid-sized, public, and diverse institution, very diverse. And again, I'm going to fly through some of these slides, but this gives you a sense of who we are. About 6,000 students in total, 6,200 students in total. And we're also diverse from perspective of age. About 43% of our undergraduates are over 25 or older. About a little over half of our undergraduates started as transfer students. About 60% of our undergrads receive Pell Grants, and so typically come from lower income households. And our graduation rate is probably close to our peers, and we want to really focus on improving that at 33%. One of our challenges, and the reason that why we are doing so much with guided pathways, is that with our high transfer student cohort, we have our average number of credits at graduation for our undergraduates is close to 160 attempted compared to 120 required to graduate. So we need to give better guidance so that we can reduce those extra credit hours. And we have been doing some things that have improved our retention rate. So for example, just in the past year, we've increased our first year retention from 68% to 76%. So we've got a lot going on, but with respect specifically to guided pathways, this chart just gives you a sense for the parameters that we are looking at. On the left column, you see some of our key objectives, overall objectives. One is to help students understand themselves better. That's as a starting point. Many come in, as you know, not knowing quite what they want to do, just knowing they need to go to college. We also provide information about what occupational options there are, and then we try to delineate specific recommended courses and activities that are associated with each major. And then we've designated people within the university that are responsible for making that happen at each step of the way, and tools to enable that to happen. So we'll be talking today about 4 specific strategy sets that help propel us forward in accomplishing these objectives that you see in the left column. I'm going to now turn it over to Dr. Gerald Mitchell.
Good afternoon. I'm going to talk about our first strategy set where we work with our entering freshman class. But before I get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about University College. So we're the home for undecided students, and we provide academic support for the institution through our learning centers. We monitor and implement our freshman interest groups, which are our freshman seminar courses. We provide freshman academic advising, some retention programming, and we also do our advising and registration days during the summer. And that leads me right into our first strategy. So we use the concept of meta majors to create our freshman interest groups and funnel all of our freshmen into one of these classes for their year-long academic advising and student support experience throughout the first year. And the way they choose these meta majors, it's a process that happens during our advising and registration days. They choose their major interests and they get linked up with their advisor and the other people that are going to be within that major interest group. And the objective of that is to enable our students to explore their particular field of interest and minimize the opportunity for them to make mistakes during the advising registration process, and that ultimately decreases time to graduation. And one of the biggest benefits that we've seen is that if a student decides to change their major, they've been within a major interest group, or as we call them, our freshman interest groups, that allow them to explore other opportunities within that same group of majors so they don't lose credits and increase time to graduation. And so one of our biggest examples of that is our nursing program. We have the second highest ranked nursing program on the eastern side of the country, and so it's extremely competitive. And that means a lot of our freshmen will not, unfortunately, will not be able to get into that program immediately. So we put them in the health professions freshman interest group, and if they realize that they're not going to get into the nursing program, they can jump into a health administration degree, which teaches them how to run hospitals and be leadership within the healthcare profession and move on through the healthcare field that way. So they're not losing time, they're still doing something that they can be very passionate about and still find a way to realize their academic goals. Then the next thing that we do, or it's actually simultaneously, we pair them up with their academic advisor, which again is that freshman seminar instructor. So our freshman advising model is really grounded in our seminar class, which is a year-long relationship that allows for our academic advisors to really have a really strong relationship with each freshman coming into the school, understanding what they need academically and just kind of their holistic needs. And we have a really good relationship. We are able to build really good relationships through that. And the freshman advisors are a variety of people. So in University College, we have retention specialists, academic support people, program coordinators, and they all participate in the freshman interest groups teaching at least one class. And then we also have our major advisors, which I'll get into in a second, which come from the academic departments. And then we also have some student affairs professionals that help support the freshman interest groups as well. And then we have our sophomore and upper class advising model. And those, they're housed in the academic departments and are called our professional advisors. They use a coaching model to teach students how to register for classes themselves, make those academic decisions, and help them choose the right classes, but it's all within the particular major. And so those are the two basic advising models that we have on campus. Then we also have, we utilize Starfish by Hobson, but on our campus is branded as Bronco Connect. This is essentially a tool that creates a student success network made up of the academic advisor, other faculty that the students, other instructors that the students have for their classes, and even some of their tutors and people that they interact with on the academic side. And we're actually working to connect student affairs and other components of the university into this success network as well. But the beautiful thing about it is if something happens in one facet of the student success network, the entire network can be alerted. And that allows the advisors, the instructors to just have more communication about the needs and challenges that the students are experiencing. So we use it for emailing, scheduling, referrals to academic support, and we even use it to create an early alert system where the faculty are surveyed during the beginning of the semester to let us know what the students are experiencing in the beginning so we can address it before midterms. Then we have this wonderful tool called Focus 2, and it's our career assessment. And we utilize this inside of the freshman seminar class. And again, I want you to remember this is a year-long experience. So the first half of the freshman seminar is more about a transition into college where we teach academic support, academic skills, study skills, things like that. And then we go into the second semester of the seminar class, and it's all about career exploration and development. And we use this as a way to get the students to understand who they are in relation to what they want to do. And I talked about before, they're in meta majors, and so they've decided that I want to be a health professional. And I use that one because we have a lot of change within that group. So I want to be a health professional, I want to be a nurse, I'm in this FIG, and I take this assessment, and I realize that I can be a nurse, but there's also some other things that come up. And I'm going to go into the next slide so you can see what I'm referring to. And so as the student takes this survey, we get a whole bunch of jobs that pop up as a result of their work interests, leisure interests, skills, personalities, and values. And we use this to either validate or challenge their major choice. And so sometimes you take the assessment and nursing pops up. That's what you're majoring in. That's what you knew was going to happen. But sports psychology could pop up as well, and that's something that you weren't aware of, and we encourage students to explore and look at those things as well. It's a really good tool. I was really surprised at how well it worked. If you look at the third slide over, I've dug deeper into my results, and you'll see a lot of college, student affairs, education type opportunities. And then if you keep digging deeper, you'll see student affairs administrator. And so I was very skeptical about the assessment at first, and I actually took it and realized that it's spot on. And so this is a result of my assessment, and as I went through the options, student affairs administrator popped up, and although I'm on academic affairs today, my career has been on both sides of the house. And that was extremely impressive to me because it really looked at what I like and what I want to do, and came up with something that actually came to pass. And one of the other things that popped up was a sports psychologist. I wasn't aware that I had an affinity for that, but I could see it. It was I like sports, I like psychology, and it fit. So it was a very good assessment, and we're able to use it to support our students, and it creates a lot of opportunity for dialogue and getting them to think about what they want to do in the future. Our next tool that we use, and all of this stuff, from my perspective, I want to remind you is happening in the first year. So this is our success coaching, and we use Inside Track. It's a third-party vendor that we've been working with for this first year. And one of the things that's really interesting about this relationship is that they meet students where they are through text message, phone, and email, and it's all remote, but they communicate with the students as much or as little as they need to, but they're there to help them navigate finances, academic support, personal issues, career goals, health, you name it. Our success coaches help students navigate that. And they're working with about half of our freshman class at this point, and we may expand that in the future. But the beautiful thing about this opportunity is it really gives us insight into what our students are experiencing, and they help us get that information in as much of real time as we can get it. And so I've gotten 3 or 4 opportunities to solve students' problems, address students' challenges before it became a huge issue and made a student want to drop out or decide that they didn't want to attend Fayetteville State anymore. And we got that because we were able to connect our students with these coaches that are able to articulate and explain and share the information that they're getting from our students. Then our final tool is the predictive analytics, and it's PAR framework is the technical name for it, and it's broken up into 3 components. We have a student explorer, a course explorer, and a student success matrix. So the student explorer is designed to give us some really dynamic retention data. So we use that to understand the risk factors that students have coming into the institution and as they navigate the institution. This predictive analytics framework draws on data that I believe about 7 years back of data from all the students that have started and either finished or not finished at FSU. And we use that to create profiles that allow us to understand what our students are going through. And then the Course Explorer is pulling from the same amount of data, it's just focusing on the classes. And it's essentially a DFW rate analysis program, but it links it to retention data. So we're able to look at our gateway courses and say, this critical thinking course, if the student fails it the first time, they have this percentage likelihood to graduate. If they take it in the spring semester of their sophomore year, they have this percentage likelihood to graduate and pass. And so it goes into some really depth achievement and success rates with each class that we have, and it allows the academic departments to look at their four-year degree plans and their progression to degree and see if their gateway courses are indeed gateway courses or barrier courses, and if they want to make changes or decide how they want students to navigate the institution. And we also use it on my end to figure out which courses we want to target for things like supplemental instruction, partnerships with the Math and Writing Center, just to provide the appropriate support for students matriculating through the institution. And then we also have the Student Success Matrix. And this is a really interesting tool because it allows us to look at the individual student needs and pair them with the resources and support that we have on campus. And we can do that for individual students and demographics of students. And then go out and implement support and programming for the groups of students that need it. And the way that we disseminate this information, the Student Explorer and the Course Explorer have been provided for the leadership of campus have been given access to that aspect of the program, and they're able to use it to create policy and make changes within, make broad changes within the institution. And then the Student Success Matrix is available for anybody with a advisor delineation in their Banner account, and they can use it to support students. And this next slide is just a simple screenshot of how we use the PAR framework merged through our Bronco Connect. So what you're looking at is Bronco Connect showing the PAR framework analytics. And on the left, you have student risk information, and then on the right, you have an opportunity to take that student risk information, filter it, adapt it, and come up with populations or things that you want to support the students with. And that is essentially it. I've said a lot and spoke really fast. Hopefully you caught everything. And now I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Curtis Street, and he's going to talk about strategy set number 2.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Wow. With all this technology and opportunities and programs that we have, the question always comes up. Apologize for that. Comes up is how do we communicate all of this to students? How do we tell students about these programs and opportunities and technology that's here to help them succeed through college? We have found that students do not read emails. And I hear the amens in the background. But so our question was, if they're not aware of these resources and opportunities, then obviously they're not going to use them. So we took it basically to these 4 areas of career services, financial aid, the bursar's office, and supplemental instruction, and asked how can we get this information out to them. So basically what we decided to do is we took away the old fan-fold roadmap that we used to use, and we've turned that into now a GPS. So we are taking this information to the students on their phones. And how we did that is we collect, compile, and make readily accessible all the links of every department that leads to student concerns or success within the institution. And as you can see from the list below, these are just a sample of what's available, and all of these are specific to each individual student. It's not a general information dump that students have to sort through. It's designed specifically through them based on their specific course schedule and any needs or concerns that they have. The path we used for this was the EAB Guide smartphone solution. We chose this basically because of its simplicity and because of a relationship that we've had with EAB for many years. EAB came in and designed a specific app for us. It's branded specifically to Fayetteville State University, so when students log in, they know this is something that's specifically for them. EAB Guide is designed, broken down into 4 different categories. The middle snapshot you'll see is called the path. The path basically is giving a student direction. As you can see with this student, it's a senior and it's talking to him about applying for graduation and gives specific dates. And when the student clicks on that, it gives them links and specific directions on how to apply for graduation. It also breaks it down into weeks. That was this week. Next week, midterm period, and then how to prepare for midterm exams. And again, if you click on it, it gives specific information to that student that they need to do. So once they have a direction, the third snapshot is called the journeys. Journeys are basically your turn-by-turn specific routing directions to send a student to success. It'll break it down into all the different areas, and it actually gives a updated snapshot as students complete each step. It'll show them that they're succeeding or that they're falling behind. The third biggest area that we use the most is called Major Explorer. We see this as one of the largest areas that our students needed help in. And if you'll notice, if a student has not selected a major, then it will take them through the steps that they need to decide on what they want to do. The middle snapshot shows you that the student goes in and chooses 3 subjects that they enjoy. The third screenshot basically takes them into activities that the student likes or enjoys. And then it uses career fields that they can choose as well that they think that they want to go into. From that, EAB decides, basically pulling from the occupational handbook, the different types of majors that meet the decisions they made on what they like and what they enjoy. And it gives them a list of these types of majors. Once they go through and read these, they can click specifically on each one and read about what is available, the hiring demand for that type of major, and an average salary that falls through there. This student actually went through and hearted or liked business administration with a MIS degree. It shows that the hiring demand is very high. It gives an average salary. And again, it's based on his interest that he chose. It also goes below and shows the type of jobs that are available and what's required. Even beyond the type of degree, it also shows the skills that are necessary and the length of experience that they'll need to achieve that. In the last screenshot, you'll see it's called Me. And that's basically all the other areas of the university. It's where a student can decide on notifications, how they are notified. It also gives them any holds that they have on their account. It also gives them their notification settings, so they can choose to get it either through email, text, or on a call from their phone. With that, we went in and when we implemented this, we ran into some roadblocks of our own or some issues that we encountered. We initially chose the junior class for initial implementation. Later, after we implemented this, we found out that they are the hardest class of students to reach, according to EAB. And basically that was, according to them, they have an already know-everything mentality, and they're just not specifically motivated for careers at that moment in time versus the other areas. The second thing we ran into is we were using this to market all the other different areas of the university, but how do you market your own marketing tool? Again, we ran into the same problem of how do we reach students and how do we get this out? Third thing is, without using it, students just didn't see the value. One other thing we ran into that semester is we had too many phone apps that were released at one time on campus. One we did not foresee or just never saw come up was students either had no available data on their phones or wouldn't use it to download the app. The good news is we have just started with freshmen. We implemented with juniors just this spring of this year. We have now just started with freshmen, and we're implementing it as part of their curriculum. Some successes we've run into, we have reached a little over 10% of our student population that we've implemented this program with. The ones who have downloaded the program really use it. The repeat users are really high and showing as a success. We have all parts of campus on board now with the marketing program. We have future plans to develop peer career ambassadors out of career services for many reasons. One, it will relieve load on career coaches. It'll help with career fairs, employer events, and marketing in general, and with a specific idea of marketing this EAB guide so that it's coming from a peer-to-peer marketing rather than administration telling students they need to do this. Lastly, quickly, a brief snapshot of what it looks like. As I said, we implemented this in spring of this year. We had a slow start, but then starting with freshmen this year, you can see the numbers are jumping up very quickly. The second graph is based on their favorited programs. You can see nursing, that has jumped out and led most of our students, but it's broken down by basically each major category and which ones they've favorited. Major Explorer shows this is not necessarily the major they're majoring in, but what they've liked is what they'd like to have as their major, so they might be part of that meta major, but this is the direction that they're going into. And the last one is the Explore fields of the types of areas that they want to go into. With this, EAB Guide is going to be directing our students and giving them a path and basically a turn-by-turn direction to successfully graduate on time. With that, I would like to turn it over now to Ms. Sarah Baker, who is our registrar.
Continuing on with our Student Success Initiatives, currently we have on our website posted 4-year degree plans for each major we offer. These 4-year plans provide a clear visual layout to our students that show how they can graduate in 4 years. And in conjunction with our published 4-year degree plans, we are also in the process of implementing DegreeWorks. Our objective with DegreeWorks is to, I'm sorry, that's a picture of our 4-year degree plans. And in conjunction with our 4-year degree plans, we are in the process of implementing DegreeWorks. And our objectives with DegreeWorks is to support academic advising, transfer articulations, and degree audits. It also facilitates proactive guidance from our advisors to our students. Students can also perform what-if scenarios so they can see how courses they have already taken or transferred in will be used or can be used in various majors so they can get the most bang for the buck. The students can also enter anticipated grades so they can see what their GPA may look like at any given point in time. This tool also assists students with staying on track by using visuals. Advisors are also able to add advising notes that are viewable by the student as well as other advisors who may run an audit on the student. Another exciting opportunity we have is our degree work student educational planner. The SCP is what we call it, will also be used in conjunction with our 4-year degree plans. Now, these plans help the students and the advisors plan an efficient academic journey using the 4-year degree planner, and this is actually within DegreeWorks. I know I talked earlier about being posted on a website, but we can actually build that 4-year degree plan within DegreeWorks. It also allows the student to know exactly what courses they have remaining and in what semester they can be taken. It also provides the university the opportunity to forecast classes needed to graduate the most number of students in an allotted time. And also, if students take courses that are out of sequence or they fail a course, there are visuals within that planner that let them know that they are off track. And this is just a screenshot of what if scenario analysis for students. It's showing that they can do a what if scenario. We have another screenshot, which I talked about the visuals. In this particular visual, the student has met 52% of their requirements and 93% of the credits. And you may ask, why is there so a varying difference? It could be that the student is a transfer student. And as you see, still needed is in red. These are all kind of visuals to catch the student's eye to let them know where they are. This is another screenshot of the DegreeWorks degree evaluation. As you see on the left-hand side, the little green check, this means that the student has successfully completed these activities or these courses. It's always good to see little green checks. And not leaving out our transfer students, we have implemented intelligent capture for transfer students. And what this product has done for us is to vastly streamline our data entry process of transfer transcripts. Transfer students will be and are a part of our driving force for our enrollment numbers. And due to the increase in the number of transfer students, it was a must that we replace or minimize this manual entry process that we had. So currently our process is with admissions as they import or scan transcripts through the admissions pros process that they now have through their acceptance checklist. And after they're notified, after we, through an automated process, we're notified that the student has been accepted, then we can go in and we can import that transcript image, remove all watermarks, process and push that extracted data straight into Banner, and then run the articulation process. The glorious outcome is that now the Banner transfer articulation process is expedited. We can actually process transfer articulations the same day a student has been admitted to the university, which you can imagine has been a great improvement for the university as well as the registrar's office. And with that said, I now present to you Dr. Wynette Council.
Good afternoon. We concur with John Rice's interpretation that a college degree often may open up new career pathways for students, but it doesn't necessarily give them a sense of confidence that they belong in those pathways. This is especially true when one considers our student demographics. With the large percentage of FSU students from low-income and first-generation college families, it warrants us to increase targeted programming so that they can acquire the necessary social and cultural capital needed to increase their employability. We also realize that we must strengthen the brand of the university with employers. It is critical that we build stronger loyalty among employers who believe in the FSU brand because of the quality of the graduates we produce, and thus continue to recruit and hire our graduates at a higher rate. To this end, we know employers are interested in knowing how students developed and used leadership and professional skills and abilities during the interview. We know that employers are looking for leaders. We believe that all students have the ability to be a leader and that leadership has many forms. Thus, leadership development is an important aspect of preparing students to be competitive in the job market. Therefore, we have selected targeted student groups to empower those students to define their skills, strengths, knowledge, values, and goals in a way that will launch them into a lifelong journey of successful careers. Ultimately, our goal is to build a critical mass of students who are proven leaders and, most importantly, can articulate these experiences gained through leadership opportunities here at FSU. And we hope that that will influence and shape the university's brand among selected employers. Our concept is to use the student leadership, to provide student leadership guidance for targeted selected groups. We are going to use the social change leadership model. This is the framework which will allow us to help students move strategically through 3 levels: developing, emerging, and advanced, to help them better acquire and gain experiences and be able to say in a succinct fashion what they gained while at FSU, and to be able to articulate those strengths in relation to what they learned in the Clifton StrengthsFinders assessment and what they would have participated and gained through the 3 levels. The first level is developing. This first phase involves students who have been involved in the LEAP Scholars Program. And LEAP stands for Learning and Engagement at an Accelerated Pace. This summer program includes courses in English, mathematics, university studies. They also participate in a series of workshops around career and major exploration and co-curricular activities. The LEAP program is actually coordinated through academic affairs, and student affairs partners with them to provide the co-curricular experiences. During this phase, students are introduced to the concept of self-discovery and to identify their strengths to help them better select their club and organization involvement, leadership opportunities, and career preparation. We will also use a series of assessment tools to help the student have a better understanding about what their strengths are, to give them feedback so that they will be able to chart their growth, to see how they're growing, and so their advisors can also help recommend strategic leadership opportunities for them to be involved in. The second phase is emerging. This will focus on enhancing the student experience through participation in academic department and affinity groups. Too often, being a member of an organization, students don't make the connection between the experiences that they have and to be able to express those experiences in a way that will make them more employable. A lot of times, student organizations, as most of you know, focus on getting T-shirts or participating in homecoming activities. And we will provide training, however, to academic department advisors to help them provide more high-impact programs so that students can better gain experiences and to strengthen their soft skills, like working in teams, organizing, and presenting. For example, we would work with the marketing club in helping to plan a marketing plan for student homecoming activities, where they would have to present to the Student Activities Council, and then if that proposal is accepted, they would then monitor and have to track their plan. Or work with the history club so that they could create a project where they interviewed prominent alumni to find out about their experiences while they were here at FSU and their career trajectory and the things that they have been involved in. Our goal, again, is to maximize student experiences in the academic departments because that closely aligns with their majors and ultimately their careers. And again, there will be a series of assessment tools that we're using. Those students will take the Clifton StrengthsFinders assessment if they have not in the LEAP program, and we will work with the advisors through pre and post assessment as well as club members. And they will participate in the Tell Your Story project, where they will be able to gauge how their communication skills are improving and enhancing. The final phase is advanced, in which we will focus on the major student organizations like the Student Government Association, Student Activities Council, the Royal Court, Executive Board, Resident Hall Association, and the Panhellenic Council. Our emphasis is placed on integrating and applying skills that will help them be successful, like managing projects to include budgets, teams, prioritizing, making tough decisions, framing challenges. Thus far, about 45% of our student leaders have already completed the Clifton StrengthsFinders assessment. And this summer and this fall, we have employed a consultant who conducts management training programs for CEOs at Fortune 500 companies to facilitate sessions with them so that they can begin to have a better understanding about the concept of leadership and the application of those skills. At this point, Cliff Parker, who is the co-curricular engagement coordinator, a position which was created with funds provided through the grant, will now talk about how we use the StrengthsFinders assessment to help students highlight and translate demanding skills in context to their strengths.
Thank you, Dr. Council. Good afternoon. We understand that having a guided pathway outside of the classroom is just as important as having one in the academic setting. We desire that our students are deliberate and intentional in their selections of co-curricular experiences to ensure that they are gaining the types of skills that are desired by employers. And to that particular end, we'd like to discuss the Clifton Strengths for Students tool that we use, which is a tool that is a survey used to assess student strengths or their top 5 signature themes to help them to learn, develop, and succeed by directing or guiding students to activities in which they are naturally inclined to succeed. Clifton Strengths for Students differs from the Focus 2 and EAB guide assessments that we talked about previously in that it provides guidance concerning the activities in which students have innate strengths. Essentially, this assessment has the ability to explain the why of the results of the Focus 2 and EAB guide assessments and should assist students in making the connection concerning the results of those 2 assessments. As you see on the chart, we follow the same social change leadership model with having different applications and uses for Clifton Strengths for Students at developing, emerging, and advanced stages. In the developing stage, we ask that our students use the assessment for self-discovery and to explore vocational and life goals. At the emerging stage, our students conduct a review and analysis of those signature themes, and they're coached on them to inform their decision-making and campus involvement, and we also encourage their integration of those strengths in their activities of their academic clubs and organizations, as well as affinity groups. In the advanced stage, we really would like for our students to be able to demonstrate a command of those strengths in an effort to use those themes as talking points to articulate their strength in all interactions with employers. Now, to that point, at the bottom of the slide, you'll see a sample signature theme description. This is actually my top signature theme after taking the assessment. And you'll see it explains the responsibility theme. We hope that our students will use descriptions like this as boilerplate for how to articulate their strengths across any career field during their interactions with employers.
We are excited about the results that we have realized thus far. We have strengthened the collaboration between academic affairs and student affairs in helping students make the connection and understand the importance of mapping their co-curricular and leadership experiences to enhance their employability. 100% of the LEAP scholars have completed the Clifton StrengthsFinder and have participated in at least 2 workshops to help them understand their strengths and how to employ those to make decisions about building their student experience. 95.5% of the LEAP scholars rated an alumni mixer as excellent or very good in helping to guide them make future decisions about their college career. We invited this summer recent alums from various industries to come and speak with students about their experiences here at FSU, the course they took from graduation to recruitment and then employment. It was an excellent networking opportunity, and some of the young alums have even continued to network with the LEAP scholars. Approximately 83% of the LEAP scholars at the first 50 days check-in indicated that their co-curricular experiences that they participated in this summer during the LEAP program helped them in making decisions about their co-curricular engagement, their personal and career development thus far. And we're really excited that 19% of the LEAP scholars ran for an office during the fall student elections, with several of them being successful. We have LEAP scholars who is the class president and Miss and Mr. Freshman, as well as other leadership positions. We will continue to work and expand the phase of this program because we believe that it's essential that we build a critical mass of students that can translate and articulate their leadership experiences to create an open and new career pathways, not only for themselves, but other students who will come after them. As Liz Kistner stated in the article, 5 steps to building your university brand. The power of a brand lies in the minds of your students' perceptions, what they have learned, heard, felt, or seen, and we have added, can articulate as a result of their experience over time. Ultimately, we know that our students will determine our university brand, particularly to employers.
Thank you, Dr. Council. This is Greg coming back again. So that really concludes our brief summary of some of the things we are doing along the guided pathways strategy set. And there's so much going on, and it was difficult to coalesce it into this brief summary. So I imagine that there may be questions, and again, we are open to receiving those. But we recognize that we're in the early stages. We have some fairly aggressive goals set by our leadership team. These are a couple of examples here. And again, we're all being measured by on-the-ground results. So one of our results that we need to achieve is for the next 5 years through the assistance of this UNCF CPI grant and resources is we want to double the number of our graduates who receive offers for new jobs that are meaningful, either related to their majors or in another professional field. And we want to increase the number of undergraduate degrees that we confer in the next 5 years by 1/3, which is would mean roughly 350 new degrees, undergraduate degrees in the next 5 years. So those are a couple of things that we are measuring ourselves to, that our constituents and our legislatures are expecting us to do. And we appreciate the opportunity to work with UNCF to accomplish these. And we also, in fact, appreciate the fact that we also have with us here our Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, Dr. Haney, who's been a leader in making this happen. And so without the support of our leaders, we have no buy-in. So we appreciate that. So again, we're all open for follow-up, and we'd like to open it now. Actually, let me turn this first, before we open it to questions, let me turn it over to Daryl Ann with UNCF to talk about next steps.
Thank you, Dr. McElveen. First of all, I want to say thank you to the FSU team for such an outstanding webinar. Thank you for all of the work that you've put together. I certainly appreciate you. And I want to thank all of our participants for joining in on this call. There's a couple of things that we do want you to know about some upcoming webinars. As you can see on the slide, on November 16th, we will be hosting a workforce engagement strategy webinar, which will be led by our very own Dr. Samad West-Keys. Also, on December 9th, 2017, we have an opportunity for one of our other institutions that are part of the cohort, Clark Atlanta University, to share with us their exemplar case on curricular enhancement. As you can imagine, our goal with at UNCF CPI is for our institutions to be a true network of institutions sharing and collaborating with what they've learned, how far they've gotten, the challenges they face, the roadblocks, and how they've overcome those roadblocks. So we are extremely excited at the opportunity to hear from one another. I'm truly, again, thankful for FSU to make themselves available to all of the institutions with follow-up questions. And if you go to the other slide, I wanted to share with you, we have received all of your progress reports and budgets. Thank you very much. We will be reviewing these documents within the next couple of weeks, and we'll let you know if we have any questions or need further clarification on those documents. Finally, if your institution has not scheduled a site visit with either Samad or myself, please be sure to do so at the earliest convenience. As you are aware, we are scheduling site visits from now to the end of March. Feel free to contact your program manager, Samad or myself, with any questions about the site visits, any concerns, or you can always feel free to contact Isidra McAlone, the program coordinator. At this time, I will open the floor to any questions. Please type your questions into the chat box that is located on the GoToWebinar app, and we will be happy to move forward with questions. Dr. McElveen, back to you.
All right, thank you. Well, it sounds like either everyone fell asleep or maybe there's a lot to digest and questions will come up. So we don't want to.
Hey, Greg, 1 second.
We have two questions here. Okay.
Okay, we're not seeing it.
This one comes from Marquita Qualls, and it says, "Thank you for sharing the great pieces of work happening at Fayetteville State. Two questions with regard to student participation with the app. One, what type of feedback mechanism do you use to identify ways to increase uptake and usage? And two, how much of a deterrent was the data usage on personal cell plans if Wi-Fi is available campus-wide?"
Okay, thank you. This is Curtis Street. We get a monthly snapshot from EAB talking about how many students have logged in, whether it's their first time to log in or whether they're repeat users, and how many times they've repeatedly logged into EAB Guide. So we get, and we know that by their demographics also, so we can break it down by what their major or meta major is, what year they are, and that type of information. The data usage was more in their minds than it was in reality. As long as there's a Wi-Fi connection, there is no data usage for students. Again, that was something that we didn't foresee, but getting back to students knowing more than we do, that's what they thought. They thought that they were going to have to delete some selfies in order to download this, which is not the case.
Essentially, this is a streamlined app. It doesn't take a lot of data on their phone, and it's so it's separate, which is separate from the data used to actually access the tool. So clearly part of what we have to do, and we're doing it now, is better communicate to students the merits, and essentially, if students don't see a direct application to their need that they're facing right now, as you know, often tend to ignore it unless it's required. So we're integrating it more in our curriculum, our class activities, so it becomes more the what's kind of the natural order of things.
Okay,
Awesome.
the next question is how well, okay, I'm sorry. It's moving too fast. You seem to have implemented a lot of different software. So I have two questions here. How well do they talk to each other? And once your grants have ended, do you think sustainability will be an issue?
Will sustainability be an issue once the grants are over?
This is Gerald Mitchell. I'll take that on because I think I talk most about software. Sustainability is always an issue. PAR framework, our predictive analytics tool, is something that's being sponsored by the UNC system at the moment. And once they're done with paying for their portion of it, I'm not sure how we're going to move forward with it. But Bronco Connect is something that we've committed to buying on a regular basis because we need a communication tool for the advisors. And there is issues with the programs communicating with each other. There's a debate, well, I'm not going to call it a debate, more of a discussion happening on campus right now between our EAB products and our Hobson products. And we're trying to figure out which program is the best and how we're going to decide that and how we're going to utilize the programs, because those two companies don't talk to each other. And I believe you're going to see that when you're looking at student management tools and stuff. So we're actually just beginning to figure out how to navigate that. And I don't have the answer, but those are just some of the things that we're dealing with. So I guess to answer your question directly, communication between different software is a challenge, and sustainability is a question, but we are actively trying to figure out ways to navigate those situations.
And I will just give one, this is Greg again, we'll just give one example of an area where there is interconnection. So, for example, with Bronco Connect, our Starfish, our rendition of Starfish, we use we use Canvas as our learning management system and Banner as our administrative system. And so grades from Banner go into Starfish to
go into Canvas.
So actually, Dr. Mitchell will tell us how that works.
So Banner is our overall student data management system. So everything academic-wise, grades and interim grades and student information is put into Banner, which Canvas pulls, which all of our other subsequent programs pull from. So Canvas is our learning management tool that pulls from Banner. Bronco Connect pulls from Banner. I'm sure some EAB guide stuff pulls from Banner. Actually, Banner is awesome. If you're not using Banner, use Banner. But getting all of the second level layer things to communicate is the challenge. And so, but right now, the only miscommunication I think we're currently having is EAB and Hobson. I think the Canvas and Bronco Connect works with each other well, but I'm not sure how Canvas works with EAB. So, yeah.
And I will, yes, and I just, at some point, there may be more communication with that. I think there's a proposal that's been put to the UNCF team, us collectively, at a recent EAB conference with a vendor proposing to provide more interconnection among some of these systems. So there are alternatives that may be considered. It's still in process. And it's also, I would say, with respect to sustainability, we showed some of our targets with respect to increased graduation and increased jobs. We also have targets with respect to increased retention and enrollment. And so, of course, with every additional student, you get additional dollars. So part of the sustainability is thought to be, as we show our success when in real results, that will help us increase our enrollment and help drive financial resources, which can help us continue to sustain our investment in some of these tools.
Yeah, and just to stress on that point, our provost actually ran some of the numbers, and he calculated that each student that we lose or keep, we get at the very least $10,000 per student. But then when you add on the varying amounts of loans and tuition costs, in-state, out-of-state, and what they bring into the institution as far as residence life, sports, books, all other kinds of purchases, we would save and earn millions if we were retaining at least half of the students that we lost. And so the question of sustainability, like Mr. McElveen said, is more of a question of generating dollars through retention instead of letting students, fall off the boat and trying to find extra funds somewhere else. If we can retain students, that's a profit-generating source right there.
Are there any more questions or suggestions?
Thank you for that. Can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Now we can.
Hey, Darlene, are you there?
Okay, next question. At Fayetteville State, do all students take freshman seminar or only the undecided students?
Can you repeat that?
Do all freshmen take on the university conference?
Oh, so all entering students take some type of seminar course. So that automatically includes all the freshmen, but that is also true for the transfer students as well. Very few transfer students are able to get out of our individual university seminar course unless they can prove that they've taken it somewhere else.
Let's see. Are the advisors faculty or staff? And also, is the freshman seminar credit bearing?
So the advisors are faculty and staff. We have a combination of academic affairs professionals that teach and do not teach as part of their job, and then student affairs professionals. And the course is a credit-bearing course. Overall, each course is 1 credit hour, but the overall requirement is 2 credit hours. And then if you're a transfer student, you can take 1 2-credit hour course instead of the 2 1 credit hour courses that freshmen are required to take. And just to add on to that, the beauty of allowing a variety of people to teach in the course is giving me the ability to create some really strong partnerships with my student affairs colleagues and the other academic departments. So for instance, this semester we have some student affairs professionals teaching our affinity group, core interest group, our athletics interest group, and our social services interest group. And those student affairs professionals are weaving in the leadership and co-curricular activities that they do within their work with their advisors and students, and allowing University College to have access to that. And then when you look at the people teaching on the academic side, we have the School of Education and the College of Business. They're teaching the education and business sections of the freshman seminar, and they use that as an opportunity to recruit students for their major, and again, giving us access to things that they're doing. So the School of Business helps us with programming, and the School of Education partners with us on some computer labs and things like that within the other work that we do in the campus. So it's been a really good opportunity to create engagement from the entire university community, allowing everyone to teach that course. And it makes it really easy to get all parties involved because everybody's engaged in the process. It's really, we're utilizing our village to support the students.
Okay, thank you so very much. So I would like to once again thank Fayetteville State for such an awesome presentation. And reminder, we will be sending the recording as well as the PowerPoint out within the next couple of days. And if anyone has any further questions, don't hesitate to send them to myself, which is isidramcglone@uncf.org, and I will forward them on to Fayetteville State.
Well, thank you, Isidra.
Thank you, and you guys have an awesome rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. So we're off.